Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, and welcome to Knowledge Talks, a weekly edutainment program aired live specifically to share with you topics that contribute knowledge to the society. This program, ladies and gentlemen, is a weekly session that I will have with you every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. and we are looking at news, interviews with guests, tips, question and answer session, and yes, knowledge topics that is shared with you throughout the program. I'm your host Tariq Al-barwani, along with our studio engineer DJ Ayub, for an hour bringing you free knowledge at your doorsteps on Oman Radio FM 90.4. Okay, stay tuned for our topic this week after the music break. Okay, welcome back to Knowledge Talk, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host Tariq Al-barwani, along with our studio engineer DJ Ayub, with you here live today at Oman FM 90.4. 7 gates to greatness, that it is. 7 gates to greatness is our subject today, and our guest is Dr. Basel Dayyani, an American Silicon Valley and NASA scientist with over 30 years of innovation and leadership. What are the stages and what are the gates of greatness, and how can you achieve them in your life today? Yes, that's what Dr. Basel will be sharing with us today, and basing to his novel Kingdom Infinitum, 7 Gates to Greatness. Dr. Basel has traveled the world looking for knowledge and wisdom. His affection is writing great stories. He loves to share the beauty and secrets of knowledge with those who seek it. Dr. Dayyani is currently a professor at the German University of Technology in Oman and the CEO of Yamasuda Software Technology, and today he is our guest here live at Knowledge Talks. The number to call in, ladies and gentlemen, is 24602058. I'm going to repeat the number again. That's 24602058. You are able to call us anytime throughout the hour. That is from 5:30 to 6:30. If you have any question, just call in, and Dr. Basel is with here live today. He will answer the questions directly to you. Dr. Basel, assalamu alaikum, and how are you today?
Alaikum assalam. I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking the question.
We are very pleased to have you on air with us here today, Dr. Basel. In fact, what we do usually before our program is we speak about our guests that are coming in, and mashallah, you seem to have a lot of fans, mashallah.
Well, I teach at university, so naturally, people get to know me through the lectures. I also go to high schools and other universities, and I give public lectures.
And naturally, it goes without saying, if you are a great teacher, that's when you have a lot of fans. So, mashallah, that goes without saying, Dr. Basel. Dr. Basel, you wrote a novel based on the makings of a great teacher. Could you please share with us what interested you to write on such a topic, as in a great teacher?
Well, throughout my life, actually I grew up in Damascus, Syria, and then I moved while I was a young man to the United States. And during what I call the life journey, you meet so many people and so many teachers, because you're going to learn, because the only thing in life really that bring us or make us ascend the ladder of the beauty, that I will actually talk about beauty so much on this talk. You have to get it through knowledge, and knowledge is delivered through the medium that is to us is the teacher in general. And when we talk about teacher here, really I mean the teacher in a general sense. meaning the father at home, the mother at home, the
Okay.
sister at home,
Okay.
the CEO at work, the manager at work, the employee at work.
Okay.
Anywhere you go, there is a teacher, because everybody is looking at the second in line and either saying something or commenting on something. So each one of us actually take the role of a teacher at some point during the day or during life. It's not necessarily the profession of teaching.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
So I really would like the listeners here, and I welcome all of them, and I'm happy to share what little I know
Okay.
with them, and I really hope that they think deeply about what we're saying here and reflect and ask as many questions as possible.
Yeah.
Because one of my teachers actually one time came so close to my face, like 5 centimeters from my face, and she said, "Basel, if you really want to learn, you have to ask questions."
I like that. That's very good. Very good, Dr. Basel.
What interests really me to write on such a topic, the great teachers, I've seen so many teachers in my life, but I got affected only by a few of them.
Okay.
As probably many people will have the same almost experience in their life.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen many teachers, but only that one or two or maybe more that really change the way they think. And I underline that statement, change the way they think.
Yeah.
So what finally I arrived at the point after seeing so many students and so many things, me as being a student and seeing teachers, I only remember few of them. And few of them until now, their statement, their way of thinking, what they did in front of me, either in their action or words, really changed totally. They changed me totally in how I think, and they turned me 180 degrees. You know, when I be going north, I will be going south or the other way around, because of the way they said things, or because they showed me the way. And I'm gonna be talking about the way now a lot.
Yeah.
So finally I said, why some students, and I will tell a lot of stories, because one of the gate, as the listeners will know, is the stories.
Yeah.
One of the things that really affect me is how teachers deliver knowledge to us. So now those few teachers, what do they have in common? Why some students come to me, and that happened in actually in Dubai, in one of the stories that I have, is I came from the Silicon Valley fresh, so I had a culture shock when I came to Dubai for one reason, because the level of teaching and student was not to the thing that I really imagined. So imagine somebody coming from the Silicon Valley after 30 years there, and then being put in front of students in Dubai, and everybody has the same brain, everybody has the same, way to achieve level of intellect.
Okay.
And then one of them, and two and three, came to me and said, "Sir, one of your courses is like 3 years here." And I said, "I cannot comprehend that. That's not possible. I mean, if you tell me many courses, it's equivalent to 3 years, maybe I can comprehend that. But not if you make the statement of one course equivalent to 3 years." So I said, "What is wrong? There is something going on wrong here." And that's now globally, is there are teachers and there are students. And each one of us is a teacher and a student in a way. Either at some moments in our life, or in a day here and a day there, or period of time. And so I realized there must be a difference here between one teacher from another. That started about 8 years or 9 years ago, the thinking process. And then lately I gave a lecture to actually other teachers, and they came after the lecture and they told me that it was a mind-opening. So I said, "Why?" They said, "Well, because we've seen a lot, we heard a lot, we practiced the profession, but we didn't hear those." And then I hear from other students the same way. When they learn from this teacher or that teacher is different. And then for me, going throughout also my life, I had the same exact experience, meaning that all of us actually similarly experience the same thing. There's one or two or maybe more, those what I call great teachers, affect you so deeply that they change your life forever, simply.
MashaAllah.
And so I realized, and so a few of the people who attended the last lecture that I gave, and the title was The Making of a Great Teacher.
Yeah.
And I really want to share this story with the audience, because I will tell them that when you want to do something and do it from the bottom of your heart, and you're not really being paid or anything, I volunteer my time to share the knowledge, like you do Knowledge Oman, which I love that, and that's why I participated. Now that's a wonderful thing you started, and I really thank you for that. It's a wonderful thing. They came to me and they said, "Have you written anything? Can you share with us?" I said, "No, I just prepared the lectures for you." And they said, "If you do, then please let us know or share it with us." That just put the seed in my brain to think about maybe I should write a guide. Now the audience gonna laugh. What's gonna happen is I said, okay, maybe I'll write just 10 pages, and every time I go give a lecture, I just distribute it, and then I share those gates with what makes a great teacher. So then after about 4 months, I was working on an innovation in software, that's Yamasuta. I realized, I told my daughter, she's a storyteller, that's her profession, her degree. I told her, would you like to help me if I write like a few pages and then you expand it and we make it a guide? And she said, yeah, that's a wonderful idea, Dad. So I said, okay, let me sit down and write them. So I sat down to write, and I ended up with 400 pages.
Wow.
That's the story Kingdom Infinitum or Infinitum.
MashaAllah.
So I want to tell the audience here is you intended for something, but you ended up with totally something else, which now a book that being read and being shared amongst the people. So what triggered me is my life, what I see, and what people desire, and they want that knowledge in a way that it makes it beautiful. When you present something that is beautiful, then people will take it. If it looks ugly, they will not take it. And the problems that we're facing nowadays, and why students, for example, and that can relate even to you and to me and to a student in a classroom, when either you see them totally attached to what you're saying and what you're trying to explain, or totally detached, and they bring their cell phone out and the browsing starts. But why? That means they don't see beauty. We have to actually show beauty in order for the recipient to see it as beauty and to take it. That's why Steve Jobs, when he creates anything, I call him the man who loved beauty. I mean, if you want to know this man, just know one thing about him. He just loved beauty in its simple form. That's why when they give him, for example, an iPhone to test, and that's the real story about him. He will take it home, he will play with it, experience with it, and then the second day he will say one of two things, and I'm going to quote him now. He will hold the phone and put it on the desk and say, I did not fall in love with it. Or he will say, I fell in love with it. Go ahead and produce it, or start from scratch, or change it.
I love that. I love that. That's really, really good. Eh? Yeah, I like even the definition that he uses it.
Right.
I fell in love with it, so then that's when the customers also fell in love with your products and service and everything. That's really good.
Exactly. So the novel actually came from the lecture, and kind of the people really encouraged me. So in a sense, I wasn't thinking about writing a book, but when the people said, can you share that with us? And I said, well, I can share it lecture with lecture, but how many lecture can you give, and to how many people? So the best way is to
write the book.
Write a book.
I respect
and
that.
that's why God sends book also. People have to think about it.
Of course, that's the first thing. In fact, the Prophet was was told is Iqra, as in read, and that's the most powerful thing, in fact. Looking at when you said knowledge comes from teachers, right? And teachers get the knowledge from where?
Exactly. So when I'm gonna now relate a funny story.
Okay.
They have a saying, and those, we call them the masters. They are great teachers, but there's also masters.
Okay.
Now my nature is very highly nonlinear, so I jump from topic to topic to topic, but then at the end, hopefully, I will all connect it together for the audience. First of all, when we look at the topics when we teach, is we get them from either books or from other teachers. But the book were written by other people.
Other people, true.
And it goes up the chain.
Yeah.
So there's a funny story about, first I relate this story, is there was a medicine man in a village. And so he was, people were coming to him and he was trying to cure them, but they die every time. So he went to his master and he said, I treated them, but they're dying.
Yeah.
And he said, what did you give them? He said, Hayyat al-Sawda, the black snake. He said, what do you mean? Where did you get that? Like, he was actually taking a black snake and
giving it
and make it bite them, And,
ouch!
Yes.
Okay.
And he said, where did you get that knowledge? He said, from the book. I have the book. He said, show me the book. He said, not al-Hayyat al-Sawda, it's al-Habbat al-Sawda.
In fact, what you're saying right now, it was on my mind. I think Dr. Basel meant Al-Habbat al-Sawda, but I also knew Dr. Basel knows exactly what it is, so just let me wait too, Okay, yeah.
So, this story, being real or not, maybe it's just fictions from the past, but the scholars used it to actually communicate that you get the knowledge from the scholars. Because they are the ones, I don't want to get into the gates right now, but I can because it's all connected. Because they are the one who understands what we call the meaning.
The scholars?
The scholars. Meaning the names. This is the knowledge of the names. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. And he taught Adam all the names. The name meaning, and we will get that in the gates, but the word name in Arabic, ism, comes from the root word sama yasmu, which means to ascend. It's extremely, I want to tell the audience here that the Arabic language is so deep, it's unbelievable. One of the German scholars said that I call the Arabic language the king of languages. There was a German scholar that I actually don't have his name right now, but I was told by another Dutch scholar just about a month ago in a meeting from Harvard University. And this scholar from Holland, he told me that there was one of the best German scholars in the 18th century, and he said that the Arabic language was the queen of languages.
Okay.
Why? So now we go back to the actual meaning of the name. Name in Arabic comes from the root word ism. From sama yasmu. Sama yasmu means to ascend. Okay, so if we go there, then what does it mean to give a name? So when I look, for example, right now we have a table here, we have a pen and some papers. The word pen or the word paper, actually, if you don't have that element in your life, you don't actually have a name for it. It means only when you create something, it comes from non-existence to existence. So basically, the thing ascends from the non-existence world to the existence world. It means you created it. That's the knowledge of the names. That's why in Arabic, it means to ascend. So when you say, I give a name to something, it means it came from the non-existent to the existence world.
Okay.
That's why the human being is so fundamentally intricate in terms of the intelligence that they have to have the names. Imagine if we don't have the capability or the ability to name things. Just imagine that for a moment. For the audience, imagine that for the moment. I can't even talk to them right now because every time I say horse or pen or paper, I have to repeat again what it means. So basically, we cannot even communicate.
That's true.
We cannot communicate. We cannot even create. I was just sitting down there waiting for the talk, and I was reflecting and pondering on that thing. And essentially, we cannot even create anything. Now, we are creator, like the ultimate creator, God, but we are with finite, with limited. That's why the title, now I go back to the title of the book, because some people say, why that title? So there's kingdom, and there's infinitum or infinitum, and the way, depends how you pronounce it. It means if I want to solve anything, I need infinite time, infinite resources, and infinite capacity or intellectual capacity. Who has that? Only the infinite, which is God. But we are finite, right? Now, however, if you try to achieve the infinite characteristics, then you're actually trying to achieve what we call perfection or beauty. As long as you are striving to go there, that's where you create beauty, and that's where others then see it as beauty and take it. It's so phenomenal. So we go back to the same topic here as why, not why the topic, but why the teachers. Because the teachers know the meaning. So now I go back again and connect to the teacher. The teacher actually tell me the meaning of the word. I was in Mauritania, and it's so phenomenal how they learn there. I went and lived actually for about a few weeks with what they call their mahdara. They don't call it madrasa. They call it mahdara. And remind me later to explain the word darasa and madrasa, because it's very fundamental for people to know what it means. I went there, and I was actually there with them, and all what they do all day long is learn. All day long. Even when they're milking the cow, they're actually learning. They have their board, and they learn and they recite, not just Quran, but all the sciences, including algebra and math and everything, and astronomy and all of that. It's like a school. But what fascinates me there is you come to the teacher with the board, with a wooden board, that you write one knowledge on one side and another knowledge. It's a tablet. By the way, we think we created tablets. Looks like they created them.
Been there a long time ago.
So you come, and all what I do is actually I read from the tablet. And as I'm reading, suppose you're my teacher, all what you do is you explain the meaning of the words. So then I understand what I'm reading, then I learn. The learning, and that's we're going to talk about through the gate, is actually done by you, not by the teacher. The teacher does not do the learning for you. You do
the learning.
You do the learning for yourself.
More the teacher is like he guides you, he or she guides you to...
It's the vessel of meaning, if I want to really define a teacher. It's the vessel of meaning.
Can you give an example? Okay, so we know what a teacher is. Can we say a teacher is someone who passes a learning or knowledge or some kind of lesson or an information to other person?
No. Actually, one of them, in my opinion, the misconceptions in our society is the teacher is the content deliverer. And that is totally not true. If we are we became like that.
Right now, that's how
exactly. That's the problem. Right?
Someone who passes on the knowledge is a teacher, but that's not really a teacher.
No, the content. I didn't say knowledge. Knowledge is different from content.
Yeah, the content is someone who, for example, they've got information which is available and they just act like a mode of delivery. Yes, right. That's not a teacher.
No.
Good, I like that.
A teacher is the one who actually take me to the depth of the meaning of the words, of the written words.
Good.
Or the vocal spoken words. Because if you don't understand the meaning of things, then, for example, I just put one word in Arabic, the name, the ism, right? If I give you now another name, and in Arabic there are many of them, first you think, oh, I know what it means. Then he said, maybe not. Right? Like, for example, I give you a word right now, and many people find it very interesting. Shat. We call it Shat al-Bahr. Right? That's the shore. But we also say shatata. It means to deviate.
Deviate, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They say also, if somebody is going outside of the house on many times during the week and all that, they will say, also like shattat or shattata or something like this. Now, that by itself, then what's related, and they say also shat al-halib. That's very fascinating. The same root word, but one is with the milk, that it burned milk, right? Shat al-halib meaning the milk has burned. But what that has anything to do with the shore, and also to be deviant, right? If you go to the root word, then you know that the meaning of shatata, it means to actually go beyond that is which is balanced. Okay, so the shore is making balance between the earth and where it is land, marine land, and the ocean, right? So if the ocean goes beyond that border, it will actually start destroying maybe other things, right? And the same thing, if the milk, you heat it over the degree where it's supposed to be heated at, then you lose the nature of the milk and it becomes burned. So it means also it gone off the balance of itself. And the same thing with the person who went out of their natural way of going outside the house. That means they went above that, let's say, the ground where we consider it a level of natural way of going. Let's say they go every day 3 times or something like this. And naturally, let's say we go out maybe every other day. For example, if that's the nature of the things, then that's also became a deviant from the norm, basically. And the same thing with the milk, same thing with the other. So the vessel of meaning, when we say content, it means I just tell you maybe definitions and things like this, but I will not explain to you in depth what each one means. For example, in programming, and I believe you're in IT as well, in programming right now, the ultimate in programming actually story-based. We call it context. So we went all these years and we pretended in the Silicon Valley we know everything, and now we're actually going back and using stories, even in programming. We call it context. This is now how we communicate, for example, in a program. And also we use classes. But classes are basically nouns, basically the names. We go to the asma. That's why without these, so even in programming right now, we're actually using what in the Quran.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
So Allama Adam al-asma kullaha, that's basically the basis of the most advanced programming right now, and object-oriented and all of these things.
And now, so can we say then a good teacher, because the definition that is being used today, I mean, as you rightly put it, is not really the right definition of a teacher, as because today you've got some people, with all respect to teachers out there, are just content deliverer. So can we put it as good and bad teachers?
I would say there is in life, and I want to really share that with the audience and with you, is I was telling my brother the other day, is there's nothing in life, and I will go back to the question here, that is a maybe. A maybe only because we're finite, because we don't know. We say maybe. But in reality, like, if you tell me maybe, I can't really make any decision based on these.
True.
Only in when you actualize the maybe at the end with a yes or no. Either you do it
or not,
or you don't.
But not in the middle.
Not in the middle. But the middle, leave it to later, because the middle has a different meaning. Now we go back to the teacher. In my opinion, yes, we can say bad and good teachers, and I could be myself a bad teacher in one lecture, maybe a good teacher in another lecture, and maybe an excellent teacher in another lecture, and a great in another lecture. It depends how I not only deliver the knowledge, is how I make it beautiful enough for the recipient not only to love it, as Steve Jobs made the technology that he made lovable by the people, and he succeeded tremendously, but he also made it, he said, the world that we live in, it's a beauty made by the people who are smarter than us.
I like that.
So if you want to live in a world that you love, then you should create it, right? By using the brain power that godly, given to you.
Okay.
So we come back. A teacher, even a good teacher, can pass through phases. But yes, there is bad teacher. Basically, those who go to schools or colleges and they really are, in a sense, only employees, and they just want to be there for the livelihood of being there as a teacher. So it becomes like a job instead of a profession that you love so much, and you give it, all what you know. And what you really want to be is a teacher who go and learns and go through the 7 gates, for example, that I gathered over the years. And I want to share with the audience that all of this is really, you can find in the Quran.
Sure. Could you share with us what are the 7 gates to greatness?
Right.
First thing before I go to that is, you've written a book, 7 Gates of Greatness. Where can I find it? Where can I get it?
Yes.
Because that's one of the questions I've been receiving, in fact, and so just want one person just send me in WhatsApp right now is telling me about the book, because we'll look forward also to get a copy of the book.
No problem. It's actually, I was with one of my friends from Amazon, a friend and colleague that I met, and I told him, I'm trying to publish my book. And he told me, do it ebook. And I said, why? And he said, well, because now in Amazon, the statistics that we have, and he's from Amazon, he said that over 50% of the books we sell right now is an ebook, because it's spread over the earth immediately.
And it's quite fast too,
So I said, if I want to share that knowledge with the rest of humanity everywhere, and the book is in English, obviously, the best way is to just put it as an ebook. So I made the decision to go ebook, but right now one of my brothers actually is in a process of trying to evaluate if they want to actually make printed copies.
So right now
where do you get it is basically Amazon, Apple, Barnes and Noble, all the majors, everywhere.
Great. So that was the question number 1, is where to get the book. The second question is, what are the 7 gates to greatness?
Right. So I'm gonna actually go one by one here, and I'm gonna make sure that I don't miss anything, because as I told you that I don't, I'm highly nonlinear. So the first one is, in the Quran it says, we tell you stories, the best of stories. And there's actually a secret. Why these, what we call the book, the religious book, and in my opinion, they're not just religious book. They're actually books for life. You apply them. A book for the sake of being a book, it is not acceptable, because a book without applying it, then it's nothing.
True.
So you have to apply it. For example, if I can sit down here for hours and hours and hours and talk, and then I don't apply, or people don't apply, then what's the benefit? There's no benefit in something that you have but you don't apply. It means that it's not a true knowledge, in a sense. A true knowledge is applicable. Now, when we go to the 7 gates, first of all, let me go back to the title here, Kingdom Infinitum. And so infinitum comes from the word infinity, but it's the Latin word. So infinitum means infinity, but in Latin. And they rhyme together, obviously, Kingdom Infinitum. So infinitum, I chose it because it represents the infinite. The infinite meaning the light meaning the way, the light meaning knowledge. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, that God is the light of the heaven and the earth. Actually, it goes way deeper than that. because light, he's not really the light, he's the producer of light. And he enlightened the universe with his knowledge. So this light, when they say light and the way, for example, in the Art of War, you read a lot of books, in the Chinese, the Japanese, and all of these, they call the way, the way, the way. What is the way? The way is, like when we say in Arabic, deen. Deen is the way. You see, so they obviously have their own messengers before, and maybe they use that word to mean the same thing. So now so the word infinitum actually goes to infinity. Infinity, so if you try to achieve infinity, which we will never be able to because we're not the infinite, we're finite. And the finite can never achieve the infinite. Only the infinite can encompass the finite, but the finite cannot encompass the infinite. That's why people cannot comprehend God, because he's infinite. And the finite, look at our head, our body, our brain, we're finite. So we will never be able to actually capture the infinite. That's why, they have that issue. So you can only think of the attribute in that sense. Now we go to the gates. So the first gate is, we tell you stories, the best of stories. So in case you want to learn, the best medium is to tell stories. Because in a story, you learn the context and you learn the meaning of things, the words, the actions. You can follow the action. You can follow the leadership of somebody. Why should I tell a story about Steve Jobs, right? So in this case, we're storytellers. Right now, I was a storyteller. But I want, the first gate is be the story architect, meaning you are the story. Be the story. Make the story. Don't be only the storyteller. It's good to be storyteller and to explain the stories. Like, okay, we tell the stories about prophet, we tell stories about great people, great leaders, great examples, great heroes. Why? Because we want to be like that, right? And we want to behave like them. So in a sense, but I don't want to just I want to be that. So in this case, when you ask me about great teachers, one of the things is be the story. Be the story. Create the greatness. So those I call the story architect. Okay, so that's the first gate. And try to teach through stories. Now Harvard University, for example, I mean, we know how good they are. And I just gave a lecture to actually about 40 Harvard delegate from United States. And I told them why most of you, when they graduate, they become CEO and vice president here and there. I mean, a lot of them, and some presidents. And then you go, and I read a story about I believe he's a French like a news person. And he said, what Harvard is doing differently from other universities. So he took 2 years of his life, he took his wife and his kid, went to the United States, he enrolled in a master's degree program, and then he wanted to know what magic they're doing there. And then he found only one magic. They teach through stories.
Wow.
What they call case studies.
Okay.
Everything is case studies.
And in Harvard University, yeah?
Right. Okay. Because how do you learn if I don't bring you actually the reality of life, of companies, of these, or cases in court or whatever, right? In finance, they actually make you produce sometimes product to see how the factories work, what problem they have. And in here, we just bring the books, we give lecture, we talk, and then that's it. That's delivering content only, not enough.
Okay.
Why we call the West? We call the West the know-how countries. Why we call them the know-how? There's a car now outside your home. Anybody now listening to me, go and make a car. You tell me, I don't know how. You see, those in the West right now, or the people who know the how, we call them the know-how people, meaning they know how to do it. This is what we have to teach. And you can only do that through stories because they are the applied way of the knowledge. Now the second gate becomes the acquire the knowledge of the names. And I already elaborated on that. So we already kind of covered that gate is acquire the knowledge of the name, meaning do not go just read books or listen to lectures and just know the content. No, you have to know the meaning behind the words. Once you know the meaning, we call those in the science world, we call it the keys.
Okay.
Meaning, once you know the keys, for example, let's say you don't know business right now, and you want to learn it. All what you really want to learn are the key word that they use and what they mean.
Or other people call it as jargons.
Jargon, but know the deep meaning of each one and how they're interconnected. Once you know that, I can give you any book and you will learn on your own. That's why we say read, right? Yes. The learning happens at your level, not at the teacher level. The teacher is a gateway to facilitation of the meaning.
Yeah.
And then we go to the third gate, understanding and applying the meaning of learning and study. We also elaborated a little bit on learning. The learning does not happen by the teacher, does not produce by the teacher, by the student. Yeah. And the student we're not talking about the elementary school student, not high school. Every one of us is a student.
True. We can be a student, could be a teacher as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And study. I'll take the Arabic word right now. And the Arabic word means to study is darasa. But actually, if you go to the root word of darasa, it means to erase and become old. You say in Arabic, thawbun daras, a clothes or a piece of clothes that is daras, meaning it became old. Because once you wear it, it becomes old. So why in Arabic darasa means to erase and become old? And also in darasat, like athar al-qawm, it means that these people, qawm meaning people, they got erased from existence. Now, what it means then is when you go to school, the school becomes madrasa, the place of erasing ignorance. So what we're erasing here, ignorance.
Okay.
And when you read, if I tell you now, do you know something? You say, yes, it passed on me. I passed over it. It means it became old.
It became, yeah.
Exactly. Once you read any word right now that you've written here, it became old immediately by the next moment in time. So that's, these meanings that the learning that you do and the studying you do, the teacher explains the meaning of the keywords. Then we go to the third gate, the fourth gate is go through the gateway of paradigm shift, following the way how the master think. What does it mean? If I want to be successful, if our universities are going to be successful, as a teacher, I'm telling you even about myself. If I want to judge myself, am I going to be a good teacher or not? If I change the way you think, then I succeeded. If I didn't, then I only gave you content. If you come through my lecture and my college or my class and get out only with content, I failed as a teacher. Now, what does it mean to change the way and the paradigm shift? Not lying is a paradigm shift. There's little paradigm shift and there's big paradigm shift. Telling the truth is a paradigm shift. Not cheating is a paradigm shift. And go down the value chain of things. That's why even the Prophet said, I only came to make the akhlaq, the good attribute of the human complete, whole, right? It means you already have the base, and he came to make it perfect, beautiful. We go back to the word beautiful. So in here, I'll give you a little story here.
Okay.
I'll give you a little story. A Korean man came and visited my brother in Saudi Arabia on a business trip. And my brother was asking him, you're putting too much time here. Does your company pay you overtime, or do you get like a bonus at the end of it? He said, no. He said, why are you putting all this time then? I mean, for your company. He said, I don't work for my company. And then my brother got shocked. He said, who do you work for? He said, I work for Korea. That's a paradigm shift. So imagine if all the people of Oman here say, I work for Oman. The whole thing changes.
That's true.
Right? Then the blessing of Oman comes down on, that's why Silicon Valley, why is it so successful? I've been there, over 20 years. And I started 4 companies there and all of these. Why is it so successful? People have to understand what makes it successful. It makes successful because they share the wealth of the company. So if we make a company, you get shares, I get shares. Even I asked one of my CEO why the secretary has shares. He said, what happens if she does not receive the clients well? So they give everybody shares.
That's very good. I like that model.
Google give shares to the cook.
Yeah.
I mean, soon I don't know. I mean, they give shares to anyone. Why? Because they want everybody to work for the company.
And to feel part of the family.
Not for collecting salary. The fifth gate is great teachers know how do they build a culture of knowledge seeker and book reader. Read, read, and read. Even on your bicycle, read or listen to audiobooks. The only thing that's going to ascend you on a ladder of knowledge is reading. And great teachers know how to build a culture. Now, Silicon Valley is a culture. You have to build that culture at home, at work, in a school, everywhere. We need to see people actually love to see that and knowledge seeking. Nowadays, one of the problem is on a part of student, I would say, they expect knowledge to come to them. Knowledge does not come to anyone. Knowledge is sought.
Seeking for knowledge.
It's a seeking. You have to seek it like, what we say as a heat-seeking missile. You have to be like that, but for knowledge.
The statement, I believe, with his Prophet Muhammad said, for the ones who are seeking for knowledge, Allah will show you a path to Jannah, inshallah.
Right.
I just got a message, someone saying that there are no friends, there are no enemies, only teachers. But how do we stay remembering that rather than get emotional and not take advantage?
Could you repeat the question?
There are no friends, there are no enemies, only teachers. But how do we stay remembering that rather than get emotional and not take advantage?
Take advantage of...
Actually, this was one of the messages sent by Insta8, the founder. He said, there are no friends, there are no enemies, only teachers.
Right.
But how do we go... But how do we stay remembering that rather than not get emotional and not take advantage?
Well, if I understood the question correctly, I mean, teachers can become friend and can become, one of my great teachers, they became my friend, my colleague, but they're still my teachers, right? Not to take advantage, I think probably she means a contradiction between the friendship and the teaching relationship between the teacher and the student. That's a conflict of interest. But when you apply the values and what we call akhlaq, right? The values, the system of values that you have, then that conflict of interest should not be there. I have great students, but still I have that separation between the friendship and being a student. For example, if I come to you now, I want to enter into a business relationship. Then I deal with the business even though you're my friend. But their business have rules. So the same thing. These have rules and the friendship have rules. And you have to respect that. Like at home, the father and the mother. I know we don't have much time, so I will cover the rest of the gates like you asked. So building a culture of knowledge seeker and book reader. Read at home. Show the people that you're reading. Read everywhere. On my stationary bike at home, because in Oman, it's hot during the summer, so I do it inside the home. I probably, without exaggeration, read over 50 books just on a bike. So you can use your imagination of read everywhere, on a plane, while in line. If you're going to go to a ministry and stand in line for whatever reason,
that's a beautiful
take a book.
Or even when you're traveling, take audiobooks in the car and listen, rather than listening to music.
And now you don't have any excuse because now you have phones, and on the phone you have e-books.
I respect that.
And if you cannot read, you have audiobooks.
Yes.
Finally is two gates, and very, very, very important gates. One of them, go through the gateway of errors. I always tell them, I went inside one of the lectures and I said, what's the difference between Adam and Satan? And by the way, Satan is not that creature with the horns and stuff. Satan is a word in Arabic. Shaitan means to shatana. It means to deviate from the path. You can say shatana dari. It means my house is far away from the city. It's, so you can use it in a normal conversation, but it's used for the actual creature because he actually deviated from the truth after he had that logical dialogue. So if we go back here, the knowledge, the gateway of errors is to actually encourage errors, not discourage, encourage errors. Because how do I learn? How do actually human learns? If you go up the chain, we all of us made errors. So if I learn from you because you made an error, if you didn't make it, then your father or his father or his sister, somebody in the chain made that error and learned from it.
I love that.
Yes. So encourage error, because errors are the way to learn. Now the huge error, obviously you get punished anyway when you make error. Either you lost time or you lost this, but you learn so much that actually becomes not an error, becomes an experience, right?
It's like what Thomas Edison did with his
1,000 times.
And with the many more examples as well.
And you have to have patience with that. That's one of the hidden secrets. Without patience, now they did a study for American companies, I think, or international companies, that in a downturn of the economy, only those companies with patience that actually made it. So you have to be patient even when you make errors, because you want to correct them. So the difference between Adam and Satan, one said, I made an error, but it's not, no, I did not make an error, right? The other one, he said, no, I made an error and I'm sorry, and I will rectify it and I will correct it. The other one did not recognize. I will ask you a question now. If somebody in your company made an obvious error and he said, I did not make an error, how can you teach that person? Is there a way? There's no way for a person who denies the error, an obvious error, that you can teach. So it's unteachable, and that's what we call arrogance. And arrogance, it's the it's to not know that you don't know. You don't know that you don't know, so you cannot teach that person. And the last gate, which we also touch on it, is ascend the ladder of the infinite and guard the scale of the infinite. What does it mean? You know, and this is very deep, and I really would like to share it with the audience, is it says وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Many people don't know, what does it mean, ummatan wasata, and between the two extremes? No. Actually, wasat in the Arabic language, it means the best. It means the absolute balance. An absolute balance cannot be achieved except with knowledge. Imagine if you're in physics or chemistry, and I tell you to put in equations and to apply it. And you don't know what is, all the ingredients. Or at the end, you're not going to get what you're looking for. So it means without the knowledge, you cannot get the balance. The balance is the equation. By the way, all the universe, all of our life are equations. So in this case, if we want to succeed, we have to actually be in the middle. In the middle meaning the people of the knowledge. So the ummah of the wasat meaning ummah of the knowledge. أوسطهم يعني أعلمهم. وقال أوسطهم, the middle of them said, it means he was the most knowledgeable of them, so he can make the judgment.
MashaAllah. Dr. Basel, we just had 1 hour, but believe me, this 1 hour you have shared volume of knowledge today. I personally have learned a lot. MashaAllah. We have future sessions. I will definitely invite you, and specifically to go through each and every of the gates that you've shared, which is, MashaAllah, all our volumes by itself. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the book is available in Amazon. And of course, we just had 1 hour session today, but trust me, the book has many hours, many values to share. Dr. Basel, thank you very much for joining us today at Oman FM 90.4 to share about the 7 gates of greatness. I would like to take this opportunity to wish you the very best and success, and inshallah fi dunya wal akhirah, for all the great things that you do, inshallah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program for this week. I hope you all had an intriguing time, and I wish you all a happy and 7 greatness in your lives as well. Ma salama.